Back now on Triad Today, and once again coming to you from Inmar Intelligence in downtown Winston-Salem in the Innovation Quarter. And we thank once again David Mounts and his crew, Saul and Shannon and Austin, everybody. Thanks for their hospitality. Before we get to the roundtable, a couple sad notes. One, our crew chief, video crew chief, Sherry McWhorter, lost her father a few days ago, and we will be thinking about you, Sherry. And also, somebody that a lot of you may know, Charlie Pride, passed away from complications of COVID-19. He was 86 years old, a great gentleman. I interviewed him in the early 70s. A gentleman, a real talent. He happened to also be the first African-American to go into the Country Music Hall of Fame, Charlie Pride. All right, now three guys that are destined for their own halls of fame. Next to me, on my right, but always a political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster, journalist, and joining us from previously in the show, we held over David Daggett, and we welcome you back to the show, sir. And Dave Briggs, director of High Point Theater, is sitting in for Keith today, who is on the road. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we've talked before about the hate speech on social media, but during the recent elections, as you know, people actually posted death threats against people, secretaries of state, boards of election people, against candidates, government officials. When that happens, should these idiots be charged with an actual hate crime, Ogie? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely, Jim. This has gotten way, way out of hand. It's not the America that we know. It's got to stop. Period.
It's not just bad speech, but not bad speech, but
hate
it's
speech.
It's
hate speech.
Violent. David, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I don't know that it's under the hate crime category. I do think that there are statutes on the books. If there's threatening conduct or behavior, this constitutes that. I agree with Ogie 100%. It needs to be reined in.
Dave Briggs.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with David on this. They do have a First Amendment right, but I sure hate the fact that they're using it.
Like that way.
Yeah.
Okay, changing topics a little bit here. Wake County Schools will stop using the term grandfathering. Now, we've all used that term. You know, if somebody's grandfathered in, we're not going to charge them more because they joined earlier. They've been grandfathered in. Well, they're not using that term anymore because they said it has racist origins dating back to the Civil War when it was used to keep black folks from voting. So they're not using the term in the school system or around the county in Wake grandfathering. Guys, are you okay with that decision, or is it a little too politically correct for you? Ogie.
Well, honestly, I mean, you would think I rail against the people who think political correctness is wrong, like BJ.
Right.
But in this case, maybe we're putting too fine a point on it. I never knew that. I never knew grandfather had any kind of origin.
I didn't either. David?
Yeah, you know, our perspective may not always be the correct perspective. I agree with Ogie. I wish Keith was here.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to hear how he feels about that.
Yeah, he was going to be here, and he got caught on the road going down to Georgia to work on some voter registration stuff, so Dave decided to fill in for him. But yeah, I was going to do that question specifically for you.
It's interesting. You always have to put your feet in the shoes of someone else to really understand meaning.
Right.
Now, my feeling, like Ogie, is that maybe this one's a little too far, but I don't know.
Dave?
Yeah, I don't have a real problem with that. When you sent that out, Jim, I had to do some research because I was not aware of that at all. But what were they going to use? They're going to use an exemption now instead of grandfathering, because that's basically what the term is.
That's what it is.
Using.
If you're using it in a benign way, it means an exception.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who was a presidential candidate earlier, has come under fire for introducing what's called the Protect Women's Sports Act. She says the bill would ban men who identify as women from participating in women's sports. We've talked about this before when Martina Navratilova agreed with this. Any school that defies the law, if it's passed, would not receive federal funding. You okay with her proposal, and will it pass? Quickly, Ogie.
I think Tulsi's kind of wandered off the reservation a little bit. She's, if you've done all the operation and the hormone treatments and the muscle mass reduction and everything to become a woman as much as possible, go and let
Then
them
you're
play.
okay
Let
with
them
that.
play.
But David, what about if it's just a gender identity thing?
Yeah, I'm not so sure the motive behind this proposal. We did talk about this on a previous show, and I think at some point you're going to need biomarkers to determine what's the fair area and what's not.
Right.
We're going to evolve into that, and I would let science answer that question.
Yeah, and when we did talk about it before, it was sort of a news item, but it had not become a point of law where she's actually proposing a bill. Quickly, Dave.
Yeah, the real problem here is the ones who are playing in individualized sports like swimming, diving, wrestling, those one-on-one type sports, they've shown that the transgendered males are winning at an exorbitant amount.
And that was
by the
Martina
way, I really like Tulsi Gabbard. I wish she had been the vice presidential candidate.
She's pretty powerful. She's got military experience anyway. Okay, the Department of Transportation says it will no longer consider a support animal as a service animal. Starting next year, support animals will not be allowed onto a commercial flight. Is that fair, Ogie?
You know, I don't know, Jim. Probably, yeah. I mean, people bring raccoons and snakes and say they're support. I don't know.
I think David brought an alligator one day. What do you think, David?
I think that goes too far. So personally, I'm allergic to cats. And I was on a plane next to somebody with a cat, and I said, well, this person has a cat. No, that's their support cat.
Yeah.
And I think it's gone too far.
Dave?
Yeah, I agree. It's gone way too far. When people can bring their pet raccoon or their pet hamster, that's their support.
They're lizard.
They're lizard. You know, a dog who is actually helping that person walk or adjust.
Or a veteran.
I want to get
absolutely.
I want to get a quick comment from each of you very briefly, 10 seconds. What's your hope for 2021, Ogie?
I would like to see Trump just kind of ease into the background and never be heard from again.
Dave?
My hope, I want to hug people. I just want to hug people in 2021.
I've been wanting to hug Dave Riggs, but Dave, what's your hope for 2021?
Well, my hope is that we'll actually be able to have people in a theater who can see live performances in person.
I agree, Dave.
Yeah.
And finally, guys, a pharmaceutical company in Tennessee accidentally bottled 2 different drugs together so that men who thought they were taking Viagra were actually taking medicine for depression. It's a true story. Guys, I noticed that you're all in a pretty good mood today. Have you taken any medicine this morning, Ogie?
That's just poetic, Jim, to mix those two together. Now, if the Viagra works, that would kind of
But I'm
cure
asking,
the depression.
have you taken any medicine
I
today?
don't need to take any
Dave.
meds.
I don't take any medicine whatsoever.
None this morning?
None.
David, you take
They're
anything?
both designed to keep you up.
Well, I think I've just heard too much information from these guys, but that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. The Olympic Committee says that starting in 2024, breakdancing will become an Olympic sport. Now, in keeping with the ancient Greek traditions of the Olympic Games, breakdancers will be accompanied by a discus jockey. You know what I'm talking about? See, instead of a disc jockey, it's a discus. I don't respect any of you.
Man.
For all of us here at Triad Today, this is our last roundtable of the year 2020.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New
Merry
Year, everybody.
Christmas,
We'll see you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.